Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Max with BuzzTox here, and I am back with a Game of Thrones Season 8 Episode 4 predictions video. In this video, I look at the preview trailer for the episode as well as past plot points to really predict and theorize what I think will happen next. And firstly, I want to talk about Cersei because we haven't seen her in 2 full episodes. And I think since the last episode, it is very clear that Cersei is the main villain of the whole series. So I think even though the Night King seemed like the main bad guy, I think we need to look at Cersei the same way that Tyrion does now. You can never underestimate Cersei. Now we've seen some hints that Cersei is doing to make sure she solidifies her place on the throne. We see her on top of the Red Keep with Euron Greyjoy, as she watches thousands of civilians come into the gates of the Red Keep. We also see that Euron also bends down on one knee while holding Cersei's hand. And I think the most important thing to take away from this is while Daenerys and her armies have been fighting the north, Cersei has been solidifying her place to the south. And I think Daenerys, Jon, Tyrion, and many other characters could easily underestimate her, because Cersei's playing a bunch of different games. And I think first of all is propaganda. I can guarantee Cersei is lying about Daenerys' victory against the White Walkers. She's probably telling the people of King's Landing that the dead is a hoax. It was created by Daenerys to make her look victorious. And much like we've seen with Tyrion constantly underestimating his sister, I think some of his advice is going to come bite him later in this season, when he tells Daenerys this.
Yes, you'll need to be ruthless if you're going to win the throne. You need to inspire a degree of fear, but fear is all Cersei has. It's all my father had, and Joffrey. It makes their power brittle, because everyone beneath them longs to see them dead.
And I think this is important because Cersei's power usually was defined as brittle because the foundation of her power was in fear. But I think what we'll realize is that Cersei is turning that around. Not only is she spreading propaganda that get people to fall in line with her, I wouldn't be surprised if her and Euron Greyjoy get married, because having a celebration is important during these times. It humanizes Cersei as a queen, it gets people to like her as well as Euron. And on top of that, all the people flooding into the Red Keep could be Cersei telling them that she wants to protect everyone from Daenerys and her dragons. And while Cersei tries to build that relationship as queen, she's trying to discredit Daenerys and have everyone fear her. So I think in the last couple episodes we'll find a unique problem. Power will reside with Cersei in terms of King's Landing because she will garner support for her. And people will hear so many lies about Daenerys, they will be afraid and not want to support her. And underlying the propaganda aspect, Cersei strategically is going to put herself in a very good place, where it'll be almost impossible for Daenerys to fight her without making her look like that bad guy. I think Cersei bringing people to the Red Keep strategically is a great idea. Not only does it look like she's a very protective and thoughtful queen, it protects the Red Keep from dragons. It makes attacking King's Landing difficult because you have civilians protecting their queen. Cersei's made it almost impossible for Daenerys to come and kill her without killing a ton of civilians, which would in turn make her look like the bad guy or the mad queen. So Cersei's plan worked out exactly how she wanted. The dead lost, but the dead took out a huge portion of her enemy's armies. Daenerys lost all of her Dothraki, many of her Unsullied. Even her dragon Rhaegal has been injured. On top of that, there's been a lot of Northerners and wildlings that have died as well, making Cersei really overpowered. Especially since she must have Scorpion ballistas stationed all over King's Landing to help kill the dragons. She has 20,000 men from the Golden Company. She has her Lannister force. She also has an assassin with Bronn, who is deployed to kill Tyrion and Jaime. But most importantly, she has Wildfire. Not only was Wildfire under the Sept of Baelor, it's also under the Red Keep, and Flea Bottom, and many other landmarks in King's Landing.
He had caches of Wildfire hidden under the Red Keep. The guild halls, the Sept of Baelor, all the major thoroughfares. He would have burned every one of his citizens, the loyal ones and the traitors.
And I think we will realize that Cersei is a really difficult person to fight, because the foundation of what she wants is vengeance, revenge against the people who have wronged her. And she is filled with so much anger that she doesn't want her enemies, especially Queen Daenerys, to sit on the throne after her. So she would do very dramatic things to make sure that that doesn't happen. She may even burn cities to the ground, like she would for her children. And we start to see this come out with her poetic justice. Every person that has had a significant impact on her, she wants them to die in a poetic way. We hear Qyburn say this to Bronn.
She has a keen sense of poetic justice.
She gave Bronn the crossbow to kill Tyrion and to kill Jaime, really harkening back to how Tyrion killed his father. We see how Cersei kills the Sand Snakes. She kills them with the same poison and lets Ilaria Sand watch her daughter die, much like she had to do. But the one thing we don't know yet is that Cersei has a plan on how Daenerys will die. And I think this will feed into that poetic justice.
If it's a Dragon Queen she's after.
She has other plans for the Targaryen girl.
Yeah, well, good luck with that.
Cersei has known from that Maggie the Frog prophecy that a more beautiful queen will replace her. And throughout these 8 seasons, she's been nervous and defensive against many candidates. But I think now she's realized that it is Daenerys. And I think Cersei's poetic justice on how to deal with Daenerys is to destroy everything she represents. And I think that's what we'll begin to see in the last 3 episodes. First, you need to destroy her image. And I'm sure she'll do that in King's Landing. Discredit her defeat against the White Walkers because they don't exist. Tell the people that she's burned cities to the ground. All while Cersei is bringing them into the Red Keep and protecting them, and celebrating the marriage between her and Euron. And make Daenerys look like the bad guy because when she tries to take over King's Landing, she'll be going through thousands and thousands of civilians. And while Queen Cersei defends King's Landing with Scorpion ballistas, the Golden Company, and the Lannister force, it will push Daenerys to become desperate because she's already lost a huge portion of her army. And I think we could see a dragon fly straight to the Red Keep, like what we see in Bran's vision. And I think while many of our characters will try and sack King's Landing and make their way through Flea Bottom to the Red Keep, Cersei may use wildfire. Because I don't think Cersei has a big regard for her own life, she just wants to see her enemies perish. And I think in her mind, that would be poetic justice. Making the people hate Daenerys. Making Daenerys look responsible for the death of countless civilians, and even using wildfire to blow up King's Landing. Because Daenerys wants to break the wheel and bring peace, but Cersei will make sure that she looks like her father, the Mad King.
Shall we begin?
Do we have a plan?
I will crucify the masters. I will set their fleets afire, kill every last one of their soldiers, and return their cities to the dirt. That is my plan. You don't approve.
You once told me you knew what your father was.
She gave Talia a choice. A man who had taken up arms against her. What else could she do?
Not burn him alive alongside his son?
I am her hand, not her head. I can't make her decisions for her.
That's what I used to tell myself about her father. I found the traitors, but I wasn't the one burning them alive.
I have 3 large dragons. I'm going to fly them to the Red Keep.
We've discussed this.
My enemies are in the Red Keep.
You need to find a way to make her listen.
Daenerys is not her father.
And she never will be. With the right counsel.
The people who follow you know that you made something impossible happen. Maybe that helps them believe that you can make other impossible things happen. Build a world that's different from the shit one they've always known. But if you use them to melt castles and burn cities, you're not different. You're just more of the same.
And after that, if Daenerys even makes it through the show, her power will be brittle. She will have nothing but fear. If she even has anything left. That's one of the reasons why I think Daenerys will never sit the throne. And we see that in this vision. It's just out of her reach. So I think all of our favorite characters feel victorious right now. They're happy that they defeated the Night King. But I think they're really underestimating Cersei. And not only will her armies be against Daenerys, the people will be as well. But then we go to Winterfell and we see them rebuilding. We see the sun finally come up again, and we look at all of our favorite characters while they burn the dead. And this will be one final goodbye to all the people who lay down their lives to fight against the dead. We see Sam, Daenerys, Grey Worm, Arya, Sansa, and Jon with torches as they light the foundations of the people who lost their lives. And that includes Lyanna and Jorah Mormont, Dolorous Edd, Beric Dondarrion, Melisandre, and Theon Greyjoy, and every other person who fought in the Long Night. And we see our characters watch while everyone burns, and even we see Ghost there. So clearly he fought and he survived the Long Night, and I'll be interested to see what his role is later in the season. But now we know Ghost is okay. We see Daenerys check on her dragons. We see that Daenerys check Rhaegal. We know that he really got injured at the battle for Winterfell, to the point where he fell to the ground and Jon fell off of him. But I think in this other clip, we see Daenerys smirking with Drogon, almost looking like he's smiling too. And I think it's a scene that's going to show us that Rhaegal is okay, because we see him flying in another scene over the boats. So while I think Daenerys' dragons are injured and not in the best shape to fight off Cersei, I think they still will be able to. But then we see a little bit of celebration. We see Daenerys make a speech that they have won the Great War and now they need to fight and win the last war. But the most important thing is that we see people cheering at Winterfell. We see Lord Royce cheer, and he's been a Targaryen hater, and he supports Sansa, who clearly does not support Daenerys. We see Tormund cheering, with his tusk full of milk, and I can also make out Aelys Karstark, who is next to Lord Royce. And I think that this could represent a change in the North. People are beginning to support Daenerys, and warm up to her as queen. But if this ends up happening, I don't think Sansa will be happy, and she still will want northern independence from Daenerys. And we see her in this scene looking at the dragons very upset. And I think it's still because she doesn't want to align herself with Daenerys. She doesn't want to support her as queen, even though she is thankful for what she has done. And I think this feeds into the scene she had with Tyrion last episode, where she says they aren't really good at anything. But the one thing Sansa has gotten really good at is political maneuvering. Knowing how to get what she wants and playing every single scenario out in her head before it happens. To Sansa, nothing is a surprise, because she's already seen it play out. And I think her motivations are clear. She wants the Northerners to be independent. And I think that this feeling could hopefully bleed into a new story that I hope we see unfold. And that is Sansa conspiring with maybe Varys to get Jon to sit the throne. I think the information will get out that Jon is a Targaryen. And I think strategically that would help Sansa, having a brother sit on the throne. And I think that will help Varys because his motivation is strictly to do what is best for the realm. And I think in this case, Jon Snow is the best candidate for the realm. And then we see another scene of Daenerys and she looks almost upset. And we see someone behind her and I think that this is Varys. Last season, Varys promised to Daenerys that if he felt like she was failing the people, he would tell her. And I don't know if they're just upset because Jorah died and now she's only down to 2 main people in her council. Or it's because Varys told her that there's some aspect of what she's doing that she is failing the people. But regardless of what it is, I think this scene takes place just after she makes the speech about being victorious. And now it's time for them to fight the last war. But also I think next episode we'll get a lot of character moments. We see Arya again with Gendry. And I think we'll see the relationship really bloom into a full romance. But then after all those Winterfell scenes, I think some of our characters are going to leave to start the battle against Cersei. We see Jon and Davos leaving with Gilly in the background. And I think that this suggests that Sam is leaving as well, because Gilly would be saying goodbye. And I think we'll see a lot of other main characters like Daenerys, Sam, Tyrion, Arya, who will go to Dragonstone to begin preparing for the last war. I think Sansa will stay at Winterfell and work on rebuilding. And all the people like Gilly and little Sam will stay at Winterfell to be safe, while the last war continues to the south. And we see them in travel. We see Rhaegal flying over the boats. We see Targaryen boats going through the sea. And I can almost guarantee they're going to Dragonstone. Based on the fireplace we see Daenerys looking at with Jon behind her. And I think they're coming here to plan the attack on Cersei and really to see how to defeat her once and for all. And I think they'll be shocked to see that Cersei has prepared. And I know that Tyrion has learned from his mistakes and knows that they cannot negotiate with Cersei. But I think that being said, Cersei will put Daenerys in a position where she cannot win. Everything she does will be a detriment to her and her people. If she fights to defeat Cersei, then she'll be defeating the civilians in King's Landing. And if she decides to break the wheel and make the world a better place and get the people to rally behind her in support, she will not be queen. But that's what I think about this upcoming episode. Please let me know what you think in the comments section down below. But until next time, I'll see you guys later.